You're watching 11 Alive Morning News. 11 minutes of nonstop news starts now.
Time now 6:48. We are kicking off your 11 minutes of nonstop news, showcasing everything you need to know for today.
Here's what we're following. A $1 billion expansion project starts today at the world's busiest airport. How the airport's working to make sure it doesn't slow travelers down.
Patients in Georgia will still be able to get low THC oil at pharmacies despite a warning from the DEA. What we're learning from the state board that's over medical marijuana.
Before you leave the house or let the kids leave the house, grab that coat. You're going to need it. Temperatures down into the 30s and 40s out there and will remain cool all afternoon long.
Fingers crossed, no major complaints from the world of traffic. A live look shows your connector kind of zipping along. See if we can't make it for the next 12 minutes.
All right, crash from the roads to the sky. We are kicking off your 11 minutes of nonstop news at the world's busiest airport. So starting next week, the Atlanta airport expects to welcome millions as we kick off the holiday travel period.
That is a busy time to launch a $1 billion expansion project, but it is starting today. Jerry Carnes has a look.
Concourse D here at Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport is now 40 years old. Work begins today on a project to overhaul that concourse so it can accommodate more passengers and larger planes. Most of the work will take place at a modular yard near the airport. Sections of the new concourse will be transported and added to the existing structure, causing minimum disruptions to operations on Concourse D. Eventually, several gates will have to close during construction. Concourse D is 60 feet wide. A, B, and C are all 90 feet wide. The widening of Concourse D will bring more room for passengers, restaurants, and larger bathrooms. A ceremony to officially kick off construction is scheduled for this afternoon. Work will take place between now and 2026.
Happening today, Atlanta police are expected to hold a press conference to talk about multiple crimes they say are tied to the future Public Safety Training Center site. Meanwhile, a federal hearing will also be held today, really focusing on the signatures collected by those against the facility. The judge's decision will determine whether to count signatures collected after August 21st or by people who are not registered voters in the city. This could determine if they have enough signatures to bring this matter to a vote.
It is 6:50 this morning. Pharmacies in Georgia can still dispense medical marijuana to patients. It is the latest step in a clash between state and federal laws. The DEA warning these Georgia pharmacies that they could be breaking federal law since it's still classified as a Schedule I drug along with heroin and ecstasy. The Georgia Access to Medical Cannabis Commission held a special meeting looking for ways to move forward.
It does require collaboration with our sister agencies, and then obviously any kind of action that we would take or things that we would do, is through the arms of the AG's office, through the executive branch.
Medical marijuana is now legal in 38 states and Washington, D.C. So another idea that came up, urging the federal government to change its drug classification. And that was a look at your Thursday headlines.
All right, your nonstop news continues with a check of your forecast.
Yeah, sky's already starting to lighten up a little bit there. You're looking at a live look here at Noonan. Looks pretty, very festive out there as well. Very, very nice, but it's on the chilly side. So grab your coat before you leave the house this morning. We do have fair skies now. We had the clouds overnight, but those clouds breaking down, getting out of the way. Not worried about that, but look at this. Temperature-wise, these are actual high temperatures here. Temperature-wise, we will be in the 50s, right around 55 degrees for your afternoon high today. It will be on the cool side because of those winds that will start to pick up on us a little bit here. Look at the forecast winds. Starting off on the light side, you got calm winds in a lot of spots, and they're light out of the northeast. We'll change to more easterly once we get into the afternoon, and that will begin to pick those winds up a little bit. These are actual winds. The gusts could be a little bit higher than that. It's going to make that temperature feel much cooler out there, so you may need to be at least in the coat all afternoon long instead of just for this morning. Now, if you take a look at our regional radar satellite, it does show those clouds fading a little bit further down to the south. No rain or precipitation coming out of the clouds, at least over our state. You got to go well back off to the west to find some of that precipitation. So we're drying out once again. All right, drier air working back into the area will keep us with the sunshine, not only for today, but I think for tomorrow as well. That high pressure up here to the north will continue to scoot over toward the east, and that's where those winds will shift more easterly once we get into the afternoon. Here's how it all plays out for us, forecast track model, because it does show some changes coming our way as we head into the weekend. in the form of rain, unfortunately. This afternoon, nice and sunny, mostly sunny skies, a bit on the cool side. We'll see those temperatures falling off again into the low 30s tonight because of the light winds. They'll start to get more light once we get into the evening, and also the clear skies will allow whatever heat we have to escape out into the atmosphere, which means we'll start off very chilly on Friday morning with the sunshine around. And the return flow, we'll see those temperatures bump up a little bit, I think mid to upper 50s for highs. More changes coming to us overnight Friday going into Saturday. Going to start you off with a mix of sun and clouds by mid-morning into early afternoon, mostly cloudy skies. Notice the rain building down here to the south. A lot of that will start to spread to the north, and so we'll get the showers in here as we head into late Saturday going into Sunday. Now, where does that low pressure wind up? If it stays well to the south and east of us, that means lighter amounts of precipitation. If it moves closer, that means heavier amounts of precipitation and along with some very gusty winds. Either way, Sunday will be a soggy one. Right now, we're going to give it a 60% chance for the rain. 48-degree start will be at 56. And notice not much change even as we head into next week. You talk about chilly starts and cool afternoons. Crash?
All right, Chesley, appreciate that. Yeah, obviously, as we approach 7 o'clock, the rush hour kind of in full swing, but even full swing isn't amounting to much. The earlier wreck, I-20 westbound around Wesley Chapel, left a little bit of a mark. You don't need to run over to Covington Highway. You can see right above there that a lot of folks already did that. So stick with I-20 out of Lithonia. Just know you got to tack on a few extra minutes. West Expressway, the usual amount of heavy stuff getting past Lee Road out of Douglasville, Thornton Road, and Six Flags. And even if you're doing that downtown drive, not that bad. A little bit of orange, a little bit of volume as you see there from the Sky Tracker. So take it. If you're off to the airport, you're in good shape through the city. If you're coming up from the south side, just a little bit of volume. There you go. Aisha?
Crash, thank you. 6:54 now, continuing your 11 minutes of nonstop news with an update to a story out of Atlanta. 3 people are dead after a house fire in Midtown. We first brought you yesterday as breaking news. Authorities say the person who escaped the home through the window later died at the hospital. 2 people died at the scene of the 2-story house on State Street right near Georgia Tech and Atlantic Station. The cause of that fire is still under investigation. Happening now, more testimony into Georgia Senator Jon Ossoff's investigation into safety for foster kids here and all across the country. We've been following this since the investigation was announced earlier this year. Today, we're going to hear testimony from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the FBI. Hearings expose that the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children reported nearly 1,800 kids in Georgia's foster care system, they went missing between 2018 and 2022. Attorneys for DFCS have raised questions about who is included in these numbers and if it includes kids who were found and recovered or those who just aged out of foster care. There was another hearing today for a state Senate subcommittee investigating the Fulton County Jail. They're looking into the issues with overcrowding, staffing issues, and other conditions on Rice Street. During last month's meeting, a rep for the sheriff, Pat Labatt, shared a list of solutions to all the issues like a new building, more staffing, and sufficient funding from the county. This committee's investigation comes as there is already a civil investigation happening at the jail, and that was launched by the Justice Department.
Time now 6:55 this morning. Families within the Marietta City Schools are considering whether to appeal a decision to pull 23 books from school libraries. The board voted to remove the books this week. It came after a review of more than 20,000 books. The committee looked at titles they say could contain sexually explicit content. Families have until January 11th to make an appeal. Another holiday tradition in Atlanta will not happen this year, the Macy's tree lighting at Lenox Square. This is video from the lighting in 2021. Macy's says it made the decision to retire the great tree lighting this year, but the store will stay open.
When it comes to athletes, you know, there's like that motivation that oftentimes is really unmatched. This morning, we're highlighting one athlete's resilience after he collapsed during a football practice. Daniel's mom, who got that heartbreaking phone call from his coach, letting her know that her son had been hurt and they had to call an ambulance. She got there. The last thing she heard Daniel say was, "Help me." He was rushed to Children's for emergency surgeries. Turns out he had 2 brain bleeds and a potentially fatal diagnosis. His beloved Michael Harris Braves shirt, they had to cut it off in the process with no time to spare. So this week, Harris surprised him with a new jersey and some words of encouragement.
To be great and do some of the things you dream of doing.
What a beautiful moment there. And we are so happy to report Daniel is expected to make a full recovery.
Well, if you are going out this afternoon, keep the coat handy. Temperatures by noon will be right around 52 degrees. Even though we'll have mostly sunny skies on the outside, those winds will be a bit gusty out there. Looking at east winds up to about 12, 13 miles per hour. 55 degrees will be our afternoon high temperature, still below our average for this time of year. Fair skies by 6 o'clock tonight, down to 47. So again, stay bundled up. We'll do it again tomorrow, and then our rain increases as we head further into the weekend.
All right, the good news from my world, no major traffic alerts to warn you about. That volume starting to pick up a little bit as we take a live look at I-85 out of Gwinnett County, but I'll still get you an update at 7:26.
All right, we have made it through your Friday Eve. We are cruising into the weekend, except for if you're driving in that, you're not cruising.
Yeah, slow cruise.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the kind like in high school where you're like saying hi to your friends.
Right.
Did you do that?
Got that lean? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you gotta lean back. Yeah.
Lean back, kick it in, join the ride.
What's up, dog?
Hey, go on with your best self.
Yeah.
What's up, man?
See you tomorrow.